Okay, so you want to dive deep into the history of Yosemite National Park.
Yeah, you've come to the right place.
We've got some incredible source material here, a really rich look
Hmm.
at how this iconic landscape, well, came to be.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out those golden nuggets, the most important pieces, the more interesting parts of that story.
Right.
So you can really get a feel for Yosemite's past
Yeah.
without getting, bogged down in all the details.
You want to make it clear and engaging, trace the whole story.
That's it. From those very first human interactions to, right up to today. So where do we even begin?
Well, the best place to start is at the beginning
Okay.
with the Awanichi people.
Right.
It's the original inhabitants of Yosemite Valley.
And we're not talking about some brief visit here.
Yeah.
I mean, their connection to this place, it goes back thousands of years.
A millennia. Yeah. They weren't just, passing through. They were living in harmony with this landscape. They were shaping their lives around the resources that were available to them. And their understanding of the natural world was it was incredibly sophisticated. I mean, think about it. They were using the land for everything, for food, for shelter, even for their tools.
It makes you think about that connection, doesn't it? It's so deep, so profound.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a place they lived, it was woven into their very culture.
Absolutely. Even the name they gave the valley, Awani, it means place of the gaping mouth, and it refers to that dramatic entrance to the valley.
Right.
It's such a powerful image.
Yeah.
And it shows their understanding of the landscape. And it wasn't just, territory to them. It was sacred. They had a really deep spiritual connection to it.
Yeah.
And that's reflected in their way of life, They live sustainably in balance with nature.
Amazing.
And that's something that's really quite remarkable, especially when you consider just how long they lived there. Right.
For thousands of years.
So we have this picture of this long and rich history, this people living in harmony with this natural wonder.
Yeah.
And then things change.
They do. In 1851, the Mariposa Battalion, led by Captain John C. Fremont, they entered the valley while they were pursuing the Awanichi.
Mm.
And this is often seen as the European discovery of Yosemite.
Right.
But it's really important to remember what our sources tell us.
Mm-hmm.
That, this was a land that was already deeply known, already inhabited by the Awanichi.
Right.
For generations.
Right.
And so this event, this arrival, it marks a real turning point.
Right.
Not just for the Awanichi, but for how the wider world would come to see Yosemite.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it, that word discovery? It almost feels, well, a little off in this context.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
But you're right. It did open the door for other people to learn about Yosemite. And by the late 1800s, its beauty, well, it was attracting visitors from all over.
And this is where we start to see the role of those early explorers and especially photographers becoming really important.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating here is how the visual documentation of Yosemite, through photographs and things like that, became such a powerful force in getting people to recognize this place. I mean, think about photographers like Carlton Watkins,
right,
and later Ansel Adams. Their photographs, they weren't just, snapshots. They were artistic portrayals. They captured the scale, the beauty of Yosemite in a way that words just couldn't.
And you can see why, can't you? I mean, those black and white images, they're so iconic. They really do capture something timeless.
They do.
And thankfully, all of that growing appreciation for Yosemite spurred people to try to protect it.
Yeah, by the mid-19th century, there was a real conservation ethic starting to emerge, and people were realizing the importance of preserving these natural landscapes. And one of the key figures in this movement was John Muir.
Oh, absolutely.
The naturalist. He's known as the father of Yosemite.
Rightly so.
Because he campaigned tirelessly for its protection.
His writings, his campaigning, it made such a difference, didn't it?
It did. It really helped to raise awareness and gather support for protecting Yosemite.
Yeah, his name is it's synonymous with conservation.
It is.
And you can see why. He had such a deep understanding of the natural world.
Yeah.
And he had such a powerful way of explaining it to other people.
He did.
And that influence led to, well, a landmark piece of legislation.
Yes, the Yosemite Grant Act of 1864.
Signed by President Lincoln himself.
Yeah, it was a huge moment. It was the first time in U.S. history that land had been set aside specifically for public enjoyment and preservation.
Wow.
Yosemite Valley and the Mariposa Grove of giant sequoias, they granted to the state of California to manage as a public park. And that set a really important precedent for future conservation efforts.
So it's like the very first time that we see this idea of natural wonders being held in trust for everyone, for all time.
Absolutely.
But you said state management.
Yeah.
So that wasn't the end of the story for Yosemite.
No, there was still a feeling that Yosemite needed even greater protection, that it was of national importance.
Yeah.
And so in 1890, Congress passed an act that officially established Yosemite National Park.
Okay.
And that federal designation meant that it was going to be protected for the long term.
Right.
And eventually that led to the creation of the National Park Service in 1916.
The NPS.
Which took on the responsibility of managing Yosemite along with all the other national parks.
Okay, so we've gone from a state grant to a national park.
Yeah.
And that really shows how the understanding of Yosemite's importance, well, how that evolved over time.
Yeah, it does.
And the NPS, their role in all this, in conserving Yosemite,
Yeah.
well, that's massive, isn't it?
It is. The NPS has done an incredible job of protecting Yosemite's natural and cultural heritage.
Right.
But it's a constant challenge.
I can imagine.
Because they have to balance the need to preserve Yosemite with the fact that millions of people visit it every year.
Right.
It's this ongoing balancing act, trying to make sure that people can enjoy Yosemite without damaging it for future generations.
So on the one hand, you want people to experience the wonder of it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you have to make sure that it survives.
Exactly.
It's a tough job.
It is. And our sources highlight the global recognition that Yosemite has, It's giant sequoia trees, it's waterfalls, it's granite cliffs. They've become symbols of American wilderness.
Yeah.
And the scientific research that's being done in Yosemite is really important too.
Right.
Because it's helping us to understand the park's ecosystems and to protect its unique biodiversity.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to keep Yosemite healthy.
Yeah. And Yosemite's story, it doesn't just end with its own designation as a national park.
Yeah. No.
Right. It had a much wider impact, didn't it? It influenced the whole national park movement in America and even abroad.
It did. It was a real catalyst.
What do you think that was?
Well, I think people saw what happened with Yosemite and they realized that, other natural areas needed protection too.
Right.
That America's natural wonders were national treasures.
Yeah.
And that they should be, protected for everyone.
And it's almost like Yosemite was this blueprint.
Yeah.
Like if we could protect a place like this, then maybe we can protect other amazing landscapes as well.
And that's exactly what happened. I mean, Yosemite's success directly influenced the creation of other national parks.
Yeah.
Like Yellowstone,
right,
which was the world's first national park.
Yeah. Established in 1872.
Yeah.
Just a few years after Yosemite became a national park.
So Yosemite wasn't just a park. It was a model.
Yeah.
For how to protect these amazing places.
It was.
And that model has been, it's been copied all over the world.
It has.
So Yosemite's legacy, it's huge.
Right.
I mean, it's helped to shape our understanding of the importance of natural heritage.
On a global scale.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that brings us up to the present day.
Yeah.
Yosemite's still incredibly popular, isn't it?
It is. It's one of the most visited national parks in the U.S.
Yeah.
Millions of people go there every year to see its landscapes, to connect with its history.
But with that popularity come challenges.
Yeah. Right.
There are issues like overcrowding,
right,
and the impact of climate change on the park's ecosystems,
right,
and the need to protect native species.
It's a lot.
It is.
It's a lot to manage.
It's a constant challenge.
Yeah.
But the National Park Service and the scientists and the conservationists who are working in Yosemite, they're all doing an incredible job,
right,
to try to keep it healthy, to keep it beautiful.
It's a reminder that preservation, it's not just something that you do once and then it's done.
No.
It's something that you have to keep doing. You have to be vigilant.
You do.
You have to adapt to to new challenges.
Absolutely.
And it all goes back to that original vision
Yeah.
of protecting this extraordinary place.
It does. Yosemite's story from the Awanichi to the present day.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that it's a place that's worth protecting.
Okay, so for you listening, Yosemite's history is a story of human interaction with a truly remarkable landscape.
Yeah.
From that deep and sustainable connection of the Awanichi people
Yeah.
to the efforts that are going on today to preserve it for future generations.
Absolutely. And that leads us to a final thought.
Okay.
Yosemite was so important in the development of the whole idea of national parks.
Yeah.
So what responsibility do we have to support the efforts to protect it?
That's a good question to leave people with, I think.
Yeah.
And if you've been listening to this and you've been particularly interested in any aspect of Yosemite's history, maybe the story of John Muir
Yeah.
or the cultural heritage of the Awanichi,
Yeah.
and you've come across more information on that,
Yeah.
share it with us.
Yeah.
We'd love to take another deep dive with you in the future.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thanks.
You're welcome.